Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of A Kissa with Ishika, quintessential and inspiring stories of South Asian artists. My name is Ishika, and I'm coming of the Tongva people, also known as Los Angeles, California. I am so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Rashi Jain, a production designer, architect with an graduate degree in architecture from Mumbai. Rashi started by working on various projects relating to sustainability and applied design from CalArts in 2019, currently working as a production designer, scenic artist, and a visual developer in Los Angeles. Rashi has worked on music videos, movies, commercials, and more with reputed artists and production companies like Jason Derulo, The Weeknd, The Today Show, Tesher, Diljit Dosanjh, Katy Perry, Bad Bunny, Eminem, Travis Scott, Snoop Dogg, Kehlani, Call of Duty, Wet n Wild, Beauty, Physicians Formula, and Cole Bennett. So basically everyone that I listen to in music. I am so honored to welcome Rashi Jain. Hey.
Unmuted.
Awesome. You're not muted.
Hi, oh my god, thank you so much. That was a lot.
Hi. No, I mean it's just what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. All right, let's start off with some simple questions like from the start of your passion for the arts. How did you get into the arts and design?
So honestly, um, post post my high school, what do you say? What do you call it here? My 12th grade in India. I was I was a lot of me a part of me was always into drawing and dancing, and I'm a huge Bollywood freak. And I'm a very city girl as well. Like everybody who knows me knows that Mumbai is one of my favorite cities in the world, and it's not because I'm born there, but it's because of the vibe and the motion and the commotion is around me all the time. So I knew I didn't want to, my dad's a CA, and I knew I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to get into something where I didn't want to study a lot, I guess.
Right.
I didn't want to be by the books, I guess. So just my love for Mumbai and my love for just spaces around me made me take architecture. And once I
Okay.
did architecture made me explore so many fields around me. There's things like lighting design, there's things like window display design, which I had no
Yeah.
idea about. And I had no idea that the world of design and the world of arts is so huge.
Right.
So a lot of my credit, a lot of the credit of what I'm doing right now goes to obviously my architecture degree and what. So it started, my love for design and my love for spaces started from that. um, moving on to production design and art direction was a journey. Actually, I did my internship in an architectural firm in India, where for
Hmm.
6 months I was making it. This is my final year of architecture, and I was designing toilets for 6 months. And
Wow.
as much, because it was one of the most important things, right? When you get into a
Yeah.
commercial building, or when you go to a hotel, especially in India, this is what you do. When you go to a hotel and when you're looking at a room, what is the first thing you look at? How big is the toilet? Is the seat fine? Is the toilet looking good?
Yeah.
So it's one of the most important parts of design, which we as people, normal people, don't understand. So I was doing that for 6 to 8 months in my internship, and somewhere somehow I was still unfulfilled, and I was just like, what something's missing. How you have the whole something's missing and something's not doing
Yeah.
right. I guess that's when I started exploring what more can I do with design and what more can I do with my knowledge of spaces and design, and production design came into picture.
Yeah. Yeah, and what made you like, of course, shift to applied arts, but what made you decide to like moved to California
Oh,
to
that is.
CalArts?
So I'll tell you, the biggest thing the minute I realized that, okay, I think I could, when I look at more, so my production design love started with huge Bollywood fan, obviously, and I was like, okay, so this is also design. Who does this? What is this like?
Right.
And I knew this one person who was like my 3 years senior, had come to US to Chapman University to
Hmm.
study production design. So I got in touch with her and I was like, so Yuki, what is this? And like, what does, is there a scope? What is the scope? What do I
Yeah.
need to do? How do I learn more about this? Um, she guided me in terms of research, and she said, oh yeah, you can do, there are a few colleges in India also which teach film, but there's nothing that teaches design in film in India. So I started looking at options outside of India, and a lot of my college selection options were based on, I didn't want to do a 3.5, 4 year course. I've already done a 5 year degree after my high school, so I wanted to
Yeah.
do something which would be a 1 or 2 year course. That was one of my things. So a lot of colleges got deleted because of that, and then I had shortlisted CalArts, USC, Chapman, um, AFI,
Hmm.
UCLA, and I
Hmm.
got into Chapman and AFI and CalArts, and I chose CalArts because, and that was another process of choosing as well. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing is that I didn't have the opportunity to study in India for this, and I didn't have the, like, the way people work in India. And I did get an I did, to understand what the field is. I took an internship in India with this production designer, Parul Sohan. And that's where I fell in love with this, and that's what made me more sure that, yeah, I think I need to pursue this and I need to learn more about this. I was working
Right.
like 16-hour days in India too, like it's kind of the same everywhere. People here
Mhm.
ask me, so how is it working in Bollywood? And people in Bollywood ask me, how is it working in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but it's kind of the same. But
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing is that there was nothing for me to study there, and I wish I had that.
Right.
I wish I had the opportunity to study there, instead of just directly working, because that's how everybody I know in the industry, that's how they get jobs. They start from the bottom and then make their way up.
Right. Well, I, for one, am glad that you came to CalArts because otherwise I would not have met you. But can you speak to some of the early struggles of your journey of how you had established a knowledge base and career and connections in India, and then you came here and restarted? So, what were some of the issues and struggles doing that?
Oh my God, one of the biggest things was I've never lived away from home. 23 years later, suddenly I have to do everything,
Yeah.
everything in the house by myself. I have to cook and I have to clean and I have to go do my dishes and I have to do everything. And we don't have that culture in India. In India, you
Right.
are pretty, I would say we live a luxurious life.
Yeah.
um, I have, so I think one of the biggest things was moving here and adjusting to the way, also the way we talk. Like we
Yeah.
in India have UK English versus here is obviously US English. So things
Mhm.
like lift and elevator, we call the
Yeah.
elevator lift, but lift is actually a a transport platform. So things
Right.
like that, I think, to start with, were very difficult. The first 2 3 months of me moving here was literally just, okay, now I have to go get my own bank account, and now I have to like go sign a lease for a house, and I have to take care of my house keys, and I have to do this. So like there was a lot of new overwhelming things, and I had one of my best friends, Ritika, with me, so that
Mhm.
like both of us kind of figured it out together, and it was really nice to do that, to have somebody to do that. um,
Mhm.
I think that's one of the big. And then once I got into CalArts, the first semester, you're just trying to figure out. That is the first semester where you're figuring out, how does LA work? What do you do? Do you need to get a
Yeah.
car? Do you need to do this? Post that, how do you get work? How do you start? How do you get to know people? And
Yeah.
for me, with my applied arts degree was a boon for me in terms of experience, because I learned painting and I learned foam sculpting and I learned things that I don't think I could ever do. Like
Right.
I used to not be a drawing person in architecture school. I love my softwares, and I'd work a lot on softwares. So coming to CalArts and adjusting to, okay, now I have to use charcoal today, and I have
Yeah.
to, which was such a difficult thing for me to do. I know that I remember like my first 4x4 drawing that I did of charcoal. That's the first time I've ever held charcoal in my life.
Wow.
So getting through things like, and I honestly I expected the course to be a little different. I expected it to be a little more film oriented, um, and it was not what I expected. So it took me the first semester or a semester and a half to adjust to that.
Mhm.
But I'm so happy that that's what I learned, because as I've started working and as I've know people from all the other universities that I got into, the things
Mhm.
they teach are the softwares, are how to make a plan, how to read a plan, which I already know from CalArts. So
Right.
from my architecture from India. So CalArts, the education I got from CalArts kind of actually added so much more that I didn't have already. And from my second semester on, I started applying for Facebook groups is a huge source to get work. So I started applying for everything we saw on Facebook, everything you would see that art director needed, art PA needed, or production designer needed. Not product I mean, you don't start with a production designer always.
Right.
I have worked, and usually for free, like when you're starting and when
Mhm.
you're trying to make connections, it's all for free. So like the first 2 years of my life, I worked a lot for free, and I made all of my connects. Like second semester onwards, I was working with the AFI people, and I was like, okay, cool. And now I didn't get into this school, but I didn't take this school, but also I am getting to meet everybody from that school. And now at this point, I know everybody who's graduated, everybody who's already there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. And you mentioned that you were working for free, and I think that's a big thing that many people outside of the arts like don't realize about our industry is that initially when we're trying to get into the business, a
Yeah.
lot of our work is for free as like freelancers or contractors. But can you talk about like what you did to supplement your lifestyle in addition to working and going to college so that you could like make ends meet during that time?
I, honestly, I came here with a motive that I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to like chill and party and do all those things. I'm
Right.
here to make something for myself, especially because I'm an international student. If I don't do that, and post
Right.
graduation again, I have just a year to do that and to get my work visa approved, and to do all of that, which is
Yeah.
another completely different struggle, that we have to go through as international students.
Yeah.
Um, and so I knew that if I didn't make it, I would have had to go back, and I had to like, it was a make or break kind of a situation. So I did everything I could to like get in touch with people, to get as much work as possible. And I think that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I was okay to work for free too. Some jobs I got paid too, but also as an international student, you're not allowed to work full time for full jobs
Mhm.
that give you a lot of money. That's another thing. So some jobs here and there I got paid, but most of my first short films and the first few things that I did were pretty much for free. And the way it was pretty much just reaching out to everybody and anybody I knew and didn't know also. I've
Right.
slid into so many people's DMs. It's crazy. On
And
Instagram, on Facebook,
yeah.
you'll find me there.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be one of my questions is that can you talk about some of the challenges as an international student with the work limitations and then after graduation with working on visa? Like, can you just like expand on what the limitations were and what you had to do to make sure that you could keep working here?
Oh, oh. So like for international students, especially for artists, there's the visa. Our visa is not the H-1B, which most of the engineers and everybody in the world knows about.
Yeah.
Our visa is O-1B, which is like for artists with extraordinary talent. So you need to like have either five to six things which go for some awards, which get nominated somewhere, which win some awards in some festivals. You need to have certain press releases about you. You need to have to like do talks and stuff. You need
Right.
to you need to be able to, and this is all for applying for the visa. So
Right.
for this, you ideally get a year without school, and that's why I started this literally from my second semester, because I knew that I I think one of the things was to do research about this. If I didn't know that I had to do so much, I had to
Right.
prepare for so much, I wouldn't have started this early, and I wouldn't have started directly in my second semester. But I
Mm.
started because I knew that, you need a certain amount, you need to meet a certain criteria, and you need to prove to the government that you are worth living here. Along with that, you need to prove this is past work. Along with that, you need to have proof of work for the next 3 years. I am a freelance. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow sometimes,
Yeah.
Like now I know what I'm doing, but sometimes, even now, sometimes there are 2 weeks when I'm like not doing anything, and then suddenly I get a
Mm.
call saying, "Oh, there's a job. Are you available?" And that's how
Mm.
our industry works. So I think I knew that I had to make a lot of important relationships in my life to actually get people to give me a recommendation. I got a recommendation from Cole, and that's
Yeah.
because I've worked with him for a couple of years, and I've built that relationship with him, and he's one of the most amazing, genuine people you'd meet. I was working with this production designer, Cody Facina. I got a recommendation from him too, and I got a recommendation from. I did a class at USC with Richard Holland. He is one of my. I was fangirling around him. He was the production designer for Batman and Robin.
Oh, wow.
And I've taken a class with him, and he gave me a recommendation. So I knew that reaching out to people about that, and being able to build those contacts and relationships, and then along with recommendations, you need also proof of work. You need to like, so I have a lot of producer friends and director friends who I've again made this relationship with, who I could tell that, hey, would you mind giving me a deal memo saying that you would hire me for your feature film that you're going to work on next year?
Right.
And it doesn't have to, like, I won't hold you to it. I would love, but it is also like a proof. I can hold them to it, but I am a nice person, so I'm not
Right.
going to hold them to it. But
Right.
I think it's about, and then you wait, and then you wait for like two,
Mm.
and it takes money. Obviously, you need to hire a lawyer, you need to do all of those things, so it takes a good
Yeah.
amount of money, which I had to plan for, and I had to save in the 2 years that I was in school, working
Yeah.
in school and working outside trying to save money. I obviously had so much support from my parents as well. Without that, nothing would have been possible.
Mhm.
I had my living support from my parents. That's why I could save money for my visa. Um, and then once you apply, you wait for another. It depends. I One of my friends waited for a long time. I paid you can pay an expediting fee, which is another $1,500 on top of what you pay. And yeah, it's a lot of money. But I did that because I didn't want to live in the anxiety of, will the work happen? Will I be able to work here? What is what I
Right.
And I had to wait in that period for a month, because my work visa expired in July and I got my approval on August 10th. So I had to just wait it for a month, and I couldn't work for a month, but that was okay.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Must have been a tense month.
And I have to do this again in 23 when my visa expires. It's
Uh,
not a direct renewal thing. I have to prove again
mm.
that I'm worth it and let me stay here, and I have to get my whole deal memos and recommendations. I have to go through the whole process again.
Wow.
But hopefully it's better
Yeah.
this time, because I know more people and I'm doing more talks.
Right. And I feel like anyone who is aware of the work that you're doing is like so it's very palpable that you're doing the work and you're making it happen. So I don't see why it should be a problem.
Thank you, Ishika.
Yeah. But for those people who might not know what a production designer does, can you like explain what that is, or maybe take us backstage and like what a typical day on set looks like?
Yes. Should I choose a set and tell you about that, or should I just generically talk? Maybe, okay, I'll tell you about a set. I can tell you about
Yeah, sure.
Jalebi
I think
Baby.
that sounds more fun.
Okay, I'll tell you about Jalebi Baby. So
Yeah.
it was so great. That song came to me. It was a little surreal for me that song came to me, because I know the producer who produced the film, who produced the
Mhm.
song. randomly called me up one day and she's like, "So Rashi, you're Indian, right?" And I was, "Yeah, I am." And she's like, "Okay, well, I have this song which is Indian, and like," and she just started explaining things. She started explaining it in pieces, and she started saying things like, how they were talking about how a North Indian wedding is different than a South Indian wedding, and
Right.
how like every decor and every food is different in every wedding. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm North," and they want a North Indian wedding, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a North Indian." She's like, "Oh my god, you're perfect for this," and she's like, "Wait, wait, wait, let me send you the treatment." And usually for music videos, you get a treatment by the director, the creative treatment.
Mhm.
You go off of the treatment. So in the treatment, it would tell you that, and then the treatment said Jalebi Baby. And literally a week before that, my roommate had come running to my room saying, "Rashi, did you listen to this song? It's so cool." And I was like, and then I went running to her saying, "Guess what? I think I'm production designing for it." So
Yeah.
it literally
Yeah.
felt like so it felt so good that she
Yeah.
ended up calling me and she was like, "Oh my god, you're perfect for this, and I really hope you get to do this." And then she sent me the song and I was like, "Oh, it's Jalebi Baby." And she was like, "Yeah, it is." So basically, you start with reading the treatment, breaking it
Mhm.
down. It said a restaurant. The treatment said, "We have restaurant. We are trying to create fantasy world and real world," and
Mhm.
that's how you see the two distinctive colors in the video. If you see like where Jason Derulo is dancing on the tables and stuff, that entire part is blue and green, versus the other part where at the end the plate drops and the guy, her boyfriend, comes in while these two are
Mhm.
waitering. That part is all blue, is orange and warm. So like
Right.
that's how I start breaking it down. I was like, okay, two worlds, they need to be completely different and they need to feel completely different. Colors obviously play a huge part in any kind of design you do. Like one of the first classes that I had in CalArts was about what do colors make you feel. Write it down,
Mhm.
and then everybody got a color. Everybody got a chit and got a color in their chit, and they had to explain the
Huh.
color without saying the color. Like if you would get a
Right.
pink, how would you explain it? Or if you would get a purple, how would you explain it? So colors play a huge part in design. So that's how I
Mhm.
start. Usually I start breaking every set down, breaking the colors down for the set, and then start designing it. For start designing, start making drawings. There's a whole lot of back and forth with the directors, the producers, the label, and everybody. I remember there was this one thing where the label had come back to us about some curtain and something, and they were like, "Oh, this is more Moroccan and this is more Israeli."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's because a lot of it comes from Indian architecture, which people don't know about." And then the director at one point had told the label that my Indian is a little more Indian than your Indian. And basically he kind of meant that because Tesher and the label was his representatives were born in Dubai and not in India. And he's like,
Mm.
"But my Indian has lived in India for 23 years. I don't think she'll be
Yeah.
wrong about this." Um,
Right.
and then we started getting everything together. I think now currently, if you ask me where to go for all Indian wedding decor, and I know everybody, and I know they would know me by the amount of troubles, the amount of times I've called them to change orders. So we start with placing orders with people, finding vendors, placing orders with people. I had one day of prep on. I had a half day of prep on set. So we did 6 hours where we got all of our basic things in and all of our basic decor in. The next
Mhm.
day we started at like almost 10 a.m. and
Mhm.
we went I shouldn't say this with everything that's going on. We went on till like 6 a.m. the next day. It was a 20-hour shoot. It was crazy. But one of the things that a lot of the people in my crew also, and I'm very much like that with my crew. I'm like, if you're not comfortable, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like I'm
Yeah.
totally okay if you leave, and I will plan for, and I've started to do that. I've started to plan because music videos usually end up going for hours and hours over time. So I've tried to plan for like a swing crew, and that's
Right.
what I did for my recent videos right now, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But this video in particular was very long, but it didn't feel so long because it was so lively on set. Everybody was just
Mhm.
dancing, and Jason Derulo
Yeah.
was dancing till like 3 a.m. on the tables. So it was different. Like the whole Bollywood vibe of the video what I think kept everybody going overnight. But I think at the
Right.
end of the day on set is pretty much going there. Hopefully we're set and moving from one set to the other. So as we finish one set, when we move to the other set, one set gets wrapped. And then that's how we keep
Right.
moving. So
Right.
yeah,
So a lot of planning, a
a
lot
lot.
of
A
planning.
lot
Wow.
on set there are times when things go a little, there's always a moment when the director will be like, oh, but what about this, or oh, so like because I've done so many, I prepare for like
Mhm.
those questions, and tend to get more things, so it's a lot
Mhm.
of prep, so that on set our lives get a little easier, and it's only like mostly moving, lifting, setting up,
Right.
when we don't get a chance to prep on days setting up. But mostly on such a big scale shoot, you you do end up getting some time to prep. And I always communicate with the AD. Like the AD on
Mhm.
Jalebi Baby is also one of my very good friends. He was like,
Right.
Rashi, how much time do you need, and I was like, I need this much time. And usually when I say I need this much time, I end up needing that much time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty accurate with time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have
And
a cushion for
anyone,
me. Mostly I have like a 20-30 minute cushion. So like if I come under time, it's great.
yeah, of course. And for anyone who's watching right now, and if you want to like see some of Rashi's work, the link to her website is in the description on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you're watching on Instagram, it's www.rashijaindesign.com. And I I saw some of like the before and after of Jalebi Baby and like the other music videos you've done, and it's incredible how she just transforms the space into what you actually get to see as a final product in the music video or film or whatever. So do check it out if you want to be mind blown.
Honestly, sometimes I also get mind blown. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, because it's so different. And it's like you're going into, I don't know, an empty garage or something and transforming it into a full-fledged movie video, a music video set. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you were talking about like your core team. So how did you develop that team that you have on all of your projects?
It's tough. It's tough to have like the same team you want on one project, on every project. And it's also because everybody around you is growing and everybody around you is moving forward, right? And
Mhm.
I'd never want to hold anybody back, and I would never be like, hey, but why are you doing this when you can work with me?
Right.
So I have learned the hard way that it's it's nice to know 4 to 5 people who know what they do good, so that when you have a job, because music video is such a because music video is um, such an industry where I find out like 4 days in advance if I'm working or not. The next
Mhm.
day, it's good to know 3 to 4 people who have the same expertise, and finding that is tough. I am very particular about my work. I'm very. I see people on set, and if I don't like something, I don't like something, and I don't play
Right.
with that. There's
Mhm.
a different energy that I have on set, and I expect that on set with everybody I work with. Some people don't. Some people do. My core team, who I would always like to keep hiring, there are times
Mhm.
when they're also not available, but then they
Right.
suggest somebody because they know the way I work, so they would recommend somebody. And
Mhm.
it's not necessary that I would always end up liking them or always end up calling them, but right now I do know that tomorrow, if I'm doing a big music video, I have at least 3 people who I would call to art direct for me. I have 4 people who I'd call to send direct for me.
Right.
There are different roles, and I know who all I can call, and working with the same people for a long time also makes you understand what their strength is and what my strength is. Like
Mhm.
tomorrow, if somebody hires me to make a flower display, they shouldn't, because I will not do a good job.
Yeah.
I know what my strengths are, and I know what, and I would recommend somebody who I know would do this very well. So I think
Mhm.
and you keep learning it, and you keep discovering people throughout your life. It's a process. It'll never stop. As you grow, they grow. My art director
Yes.
is not always going to be my art director. Sometimes I art direct for them also. So it
Mhm.
varies. But I think, but having the people that you love working with on set, where you just have to look and be like, but, and then they know, that's the best thing. I
Yeah.
was once, I was PDing for this short film, for this director. It was a first time directing, and we were shooting in her house. It was one of the low budget PD things, but it's one of my most favorite short film experiences because she is an actor on Station 19. So her entire
Mm.
crew was a Station 19 crew. Like the scripty was Station 19, the prop
Mhm.
master herself was Station 19 from Station 19, the producer was from Station 19, and just being on that set and just seeing how like people who work together for 4 years work and how their energies match
Yeah.
and how they just know it's amazing. And I have that with my team, and I want to continue having that. And I try to like bring in new people I try to have at least 2 to 3 new people every time so that they can feel energy and I can feel the energy and see if I can hire them again. But I
Absolutely.
do have some people on speed dial for everything.
For sure. I mean, it's so important to have a team that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you were talking earlier about uh, building like collaborations, like connections with people who, beyond just like for the visa purpose, just like to work here. So, how did you go about building that community of collaborators and artists and companies that you work with? And what do you look for in a collaborator?
This is so difficult to answer because I feel like your hard work talks for yourself. And a lot
Mhm.
of times when I'm working with the same people again and again, it's because our energies match and
Mhm.
our thinking and our love to make it happen. It's not about
Mhm.
no matter what, of course, not at the cost of people around me, but I am a person who once said if a director would ask me a question, I don't like to say no immediately and I don't like to give a negative response immediately. I want to see if I
Mhm.
can make, because it's a challenge for me. And
Right.
that's one of the biggest adrenalines that keeps me going in the industry, that okay, I know that this is going to happen. And if that
Yeah.
comes to me, can I figure out a solution for it? So I think,
Mhm.
and I think that's how you build collaborations, and that's how you build relationships. Of course, if you ask me if it's a crazy request, I would like say no, and I don't lowball myself ever. But if I can make it happen and if I can do things within my power, I would always want to like solve a problem rather than dwell on it and discuss it for like 2 hours, uh,
Mhm.
and actually use my brain to end up figuring out what's the solution and how to get a good result out of that. And I think that is one of the keys. Like that's what I also look in my collaborators and in my team. If I go to my person who knows how to build, if I go to my builder and ask him like for the shoot I have next, we have this swing which we have to figure out how to rig. And I was trying to talk to my team and my builder about that today. And he's like, I can't build the swing, but I can help you rig it. I was like, okay, that's all I
Mhm.
need from you.
Right.
You don't need to build it. You need to just help me how to, and I know that on the day off, if we can't do it, we'll probably go to grip side and talk to them, or we'll probably go to the
Mhm.
other department. And it's always a collab. It's a matter of just communicating with the person and being true to what you already have. There's no point of sugarcoating that. Oh,
Yeah.
I messaged grip side today and I was like, hey, so we have this swing, and he was like, oh, I don't think I can take that on. I was like, yeah, but can you just help me figure it out? You don't need to take it on.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, for sure, we'll figure it out Tuesday. So I think it's just a matter of being transparent with what you have, what you can do. And that's how collaborations stick, and that's how people end up calling you again and again for work. Like I did 3 videos recently with the same production company, same producer, same director. I did one and then they called me for the next one, and then they called me for the next one. It was all in like a span of 1.5 week. I think it was
Mhm.
because of the way they work and we work and the way we work in conjunction.
Yeah. And I mean, you already have such incredible artists that you've worked with and production companies that you've worked with, but do you have I don't know, a dream collaboration, a
Oh,
dream project?
of course, my
Yeah?
biggest my biggest dream. I have two dreams actually. I have like a 5 year dream and then I have a 15 year dream. Um, my 5 year dream is to work on a Marvel film or like something that is as great as. And when I say Marvel, I mean or Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was my biggest inspirations of just production design because I was watching the show in my 4th year of architecture,
Hmm.
and that's when I started learning about production design. And I was just like, what is the show, everything that they're holding, everything that they're doing is made specifically for them, and it's a world
Right.
created for them, which, like, I know that they're shooting House of Dragons right now, and I've tried to, like, I've slid into everybody's emails. I've emailed everybody and House of Dragons, whoever I could find. I'm like, hey, huge fan, if you need anything, please, this is
Yeah.
my work. I'm a hard worker. But I think if I get to work on any show that is as great as that, where you get to, like, literally design everything for the character and
Right.
for the people around it, is going to be my dream. But Marvel,
Yeah.
I, even if I get to PA, but like if I get to be in the core team, that'll be, obviously, that'll be more, much more. So this is my 5 year goal. I want to do this in the next 5 years.
Yes.
Um, and in the next 15 years, as I told you, that the reason I moved here was because I didn't have the opportunity to study in India. So my 15-year goal is to open a film school in India, which, like, something like AFI, but like an Indian Film
Yeah.
Institute, and to be able to collaborate with everybody. And I do, because eventually I just want to be, I want to be closer to my parents. I want to be closer to my grandma. I know they can't really move here, so in
Right.
the next 15 years, that's what I'm working to. And I want to work in Bollywood. I'm such a huge fan. Like, if I get to do a Yash Raj film someday, I would be
Hmm.
honored. But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's one of my biggest goals. I feel like I've achieved something in life if I can open my own film school in India, um, with production design as a field, cinematography as a field, producing as a field, directing,
Hmm.
writing. It would be like AFI. It wouldn't be too crazy. It wouldn't be a CalArts. It would be a
Right.
6 course thing, but it would, because CalArts has like 30 things, and AFI is just the
Yeah,
same. So
for sure.
I really want to open a film school back home someday.
That's incredible. That's a beautiful 15-year-old goal, and I really hope that it comes to fruition.
Thank you. I've like started putting it out there in the universe slowly. Everybody I talk to here and there, I'm like, oh, so you will come to my school and talk. And you,
Yeah.
Ishika, you will come to my school and talk someday, about acting and about theater. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I cannot wait. Um, what advice would you have for aspiring artists and creatives, especially those of South Asian descent?
Oh, I think the biggest advice is like, don't be disheartened and don't give up. Like, even right now, I slide into so many people's DMs because I'm not the best. I love doing what I do, and and I want to continue working with bigger, better, uh, on bigger sets, bigger artists, bigger names, bigger companies. Um, so I think the biggest thing for everybody, and I know it's very, very, very difficult to, because there are days when, like, I'm sitting at home for 2 weeks, and all I'm doing is watching TV, and I find myself questioning everything, and I find myself
Right.
thinking, why am I here? What am I doing? COVID was such a big span of that. For 3 4 months, my roommate was gone to a house. I was literally living alone in a two-bed apartment, and I was dealing with
Mm.
cockroaches who I hate, and I'm scared about. And all I was thinking about, why am I not home, and why am I not close to home? And I think in May sometime, when I went back to work for half a day, immediately I had the thought that this is why I'm not home. This is why. So
Right.
I think like getting it's very easy to get disheartened and to question everything that we have done and we do. And I think
Mhm.
it's an ongoing process. We continue to do that repeatedly, and I still continue to do that, and I will continue to do that. But I also, the 2 weeks that I had off recently, I took that time to improve my portfolio, to put more work on my resume, to write a cover letter
Right.
for myself, to apply to more people, to research more in companies. So I think
Mhm.
I just think, like, don't give up, like, things work out.
Yeah.
Something or the other will work out. Like, right now also, I because I'm doing music videos since so long. Sometimes I have this thought that, does it work in my disadvantage that I do a lot of music videos and I'm not
Yeah.
able to get into, because I want to do film, and I'm not able to get into, how do I, what is the breakthrough? But I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that to happen, and I'm trying. So I can keep
Mhm.
trying is what I would say for sure. Like I end up replying to so many people who slide into my DMs.
Mhm.
And a lot of people end up replying. A lot of people end up replying.
Yeah. And on that note, is there the show is called a Kissa with Ishika, and Kissa, of course, stands means like a story or episode. So, is there one specific Kissa or episode from your life that has been really influential on your artistic journey?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't. So I think my dad once said to me that um, beta, this is when my O1 I was not. I think I was not giving my full 100% on my O1, and
Yeah,
he called me up and he's like, "Why are you not giving your 100%? Why are you not trying? नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ, वापस आ जाना और क्या पर try
right.
क्यों नहीं करना है? लेना है ना visa, करना है ना." And I'm sorry, I just switched to Hindi automatically.
I understand. Can
He's
you
like,
say
"Why
that
are you
again?
trying?" I'll
Yeah,
repeat. I'll repeat. He said, it wasn't that I wasn't trying, but you have those days where you're like, should I just come back? This is so
right.
much and there's so much to do. And it's just like, but you want to do it. This is the reason you went there. And
Yeah,
this is why you have, how can you, why would you not even try to do it? I
right.
think that is one very big thing that has definitely stuck by me. And that's why I still keep trying to do things that I want to do, where just like, yeah, if I don't try, who else is going to try for me? I
Exactly.
am going to try,
Yeah.
I have to try for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that.
That is good advice. Very good advice.
I think he's watching.
And what are some of your passions and hobbies when you're not on set?
Oh my God. This is such a difficult question to answer because I'm still figuring it out because
Right.
I love working. I'm a workaholic. It's bad, and like I have these battles with myself at times where I'm just like, my back is like pretty gone, to not use any bad words, but like my back
Yes.
pains all the time.
Yeah.
I don't, so I've been trying to like get into doing yoga, but when I'm working on set and when I'm there on for 16 hours, I don't get to do that. So then I end up
Right.
leaving it. And then I'm trying to, and when I have that one day off in between, I am just resting and I'm just sleeping or I'm just
Yeah.
watching, catching up on my favorite shows,
Yeah.
because there are a certain I really like watching. I'm a very visual person. I don't read. It's good and bad. So I like watching. I would much rather watch a movie than read about the movie.
Mhm.
So I end up catching up on my shows, but I really want to make a routine for myself. But I think till now it was more about make or break, right? Like till now it was
Right.
more about I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to prove myself, I need to do this. Now that I feel like I feel a little comfortable with where I am.
Mhm.
I've started to like look at other things. I love dancing. I don't do it very often. I
Mm.
do it at parties at my house when
Yeah.
on Diwali, my friends will come over and we'll dance. And that's what
Yeah.
we do. But usually, I want to create a habit, but I don't have one yet.
Yeah. The life of someone who's dealing with the pressure of having to prove themselves. How do you fit in like an actual routine? That is
Yeah,
a great question.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm trying to figure it out. Like right now, also I'm like watching trash TV. I was watching trash TV today because it was my day off, and then I had to do a
Right.
few things. So it was all I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. Take your
Yeah,
day of rest.
yeah.
Yeah.
One day out of 20, if I get, I will be in my bed.
Yeah. Can relate to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you have any upcoming or current projects that you are allowed to share with us?
I don't think I mean, I'm doing two commercials, which are very
Okay.
exciting. I have this commercial next week. I'm like a full on build day on Monday. Tuesday, there's a pre light where also we'll be building. and
Mhm.
Wednesday is the shoot day. But it's a huge, it's one of my biggest commercials that I've done. And then there's this other commercial, um, which is not a very big commercial, but it's with a very big brand. It's with Facebook. It's with Facebook. Um, yeah, it's not, when I say it's not big, I mean like it's not super big on budget, but it's a big brand versus this one is super big on budget,
Right.
and it's a pretty good brand too. So two of my commercials
Mhm.
for now, and I think I'm gonna go back home after that. I'm not sure yet. I'm waiting to figure out if that's possible. But yeah, I guess I'll go back home after that for a month after 2 years, which I'm really looking
Wow.
forward to.
Yeah. Just in time for Diwali.
Just
Almost.
in time for Diwali. Yeah, just almost after Diwali. Yeah.
Yeah. Barely there. But yeah. And I know we put the link, of course, for your website in the chat, but is there any other way other than that people can find your work?
Website, Instagram, even
Okay.
Google. I think if you Google Rashi Jain production designer, I come up first.
Okay.
So even Google.
Love that. Yeah. And anyone watching on Instagram, you've seen I've been tagging Rashi as well and on Facebook as well. So make sure that you check out her website and her Insta and her FB and hit her up if you have any upcoming
Yeah,
upcoming
hit
films.
me up,
I don't
hit
know
me
if
up.
she's
I end up,
producing.
yeah, I have this policy of not making people work for free just because I
Mhm.
know how much hard work goes. So
Yes,
I would always end up paying my crew, which is good, which is
yes.
good, always.
Very
But
important.
for sure,
Yeah.
hit me up.
Yes. And is there anything
I think you got cut out. You got stuck, Ishika. Hello.
No. Hello?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Love some difficult. I
Obviously.
was just if there's anything else that I may have missed that you want to just share about your journey, your career, something that the audience might not know about what it means to be a production designer.
Well, it's not, I think it's not very easy. It's all fancy, and you get to meet all these stars on Instagram and on my website. You'll see, and I love doing what I do, but
Right.
it's heavy on your body, it's heavy on your brain. Sometimes when I'm just, even when I'm at home just working, I'm talking
Mhm.
to my friends and I'm just like, my brain is tired, like my
Yeah.
brain needs rest today. And today is actually, my brain got rest today after a long time, so I'm happy about that. But
Mhm.
I always tell people that, a lot of people, a lot of Indian friends of mine who contact me about this, I always tell them that try to get experience there, see if you like it,
Right.
because it's not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody wants to, um, live like this and have a life like this. Honestly, like it's not the most, um, happening best thing. But the good thing is that, I think the first 2 3 years everybody is struggling, but the good thing is that I think when you come to a point where you can decide when you want to work, what you want to work on,
Right.
and you can be a little picky about where you want to put, what you want to put your name on, um, then it obviously gets better. And also you need to love it. I don't think you can do any craft without loving what you do. You won't be good at
Absolutely.
it if you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah.
So just that.
That is really good advice. I think for any field, especially in the arts. So yeah, thank you
Yes.
for sharing that.
Thank
Um,
you.
that is all the questions I have, and I think that brings us to the end of this kissa with Ishika. So I just want to say thank you again so much for taking the time out of your crazy schedule to speak with me and share your story with me and everyone watching and listening.
Thank you so much for having me, Ishika. It was a pleasure. I always wanted, like, because I didn't have anybody when I was doing my research, and I was doing I had no resources. I had
Mhm.
nobody who was helping me out as to what colleges to apply, what is even this, what other is the scope of this. So I always like to like give that to people, and that's why whenever
Absolutely.
people message me also, I end up always replying, because I was like, yes, if I would have messaged somebody, I really would have wanted it. So this
Yeah.
is like a great platform for people to see also, what to do, how to do, instead of replying to 100 people together. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And thank you to everyone who tuned in for this episode. It will be available after this on YouTube as well. If you want to share, if you know anyone in your life that is interested in production design or architecture or any of these fields, make sure to share this video with them, and hopefully it can inspire someone else as well. And for everyone watching, thank you again. And make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notified for the next QISSAA with Ishika. And we will stay tuned for updates on when the next episode will be. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Rashi.
Bye bye.